Welcome back to Perry Film. Today we're diving into Terra Formars live action, where astronauts land on Mars and face a terrifying enemy. What went wrong? Let's find out. In the 21st century, overpopulation has become an insurmountable issue. To address this, humanity devises a plan to emigrate to Mars. However, the red planet is not yet suitable for human habitation. The first step in terraforming Mars involves sending moss and other simple life forms, including cockroaches. Fast forward to the year 2597, where criminals Komachi and Nao are desperately fleeing through the streets of Tokyo, pursued by the police. Despite their attempts to evade capture, they soon find themselves surrounded. At that critical moment, a flying car lands in front of them, carrying Dr. Honda. He is engrossed in his own presentation about the necessity of exterminating the roaches before humans can settle on Mars. His assistant then points out that Komachi and Nanao, who are wanted for second-degree murder, are ideal candidates for their project. Honda approaches the couple and escorts them to his lab to present an offer. If they agree to travel to Mars and eliminate all the cockroaches, they will be handsomely rewarded, and their criminal records will be wiped clean. The catch? They must first undergo a risky surgery. Initially, Komachi is hesitant and distrustful of Honda, but Nanao immediately agrees. Reluctantly, Komachi decides to join her to stay by her side. 2 years later, Nanao and Komachi, along with a full crew, are en route to Mars aboard a spaceship named Bugs 2. Jin, eager for a workout, asks Komachi for a sparring match. The match ends in a tie, but Jin claims he went easy on Komachi, calling him an amateur. He then tries to flirt with Nanao, but she rejects him, stating that Komachi freed her. Ichiro laughs at the notion of this being true freedom. Meanwhile, Lee is eating bugs, and Tezuka creepily approaches a sleeping Maria, startling her awake by sucking her hand. Frightened, Maria runs to her friend Osuka for support. As the women walk by, Taramaru and Yoshikane ogle them, prompting Asuka to call them out. Nanao then observes something peculiar about the crew. Toramaru and Yoshikane are Yakuza, Asuka is a corrupt cop, Tezuka is a serial killer, Maria is an illegal immigrant, Osuka exploits teenagers for illicit work, Ichiro is a hacker, and Lee is a terrorist. She realizes that she and Komachi were selected for this mission for a reason. She wonders if Honda only hires criminals. However, Jin insists he's just a kickboxer and believes they were all chosen because they desperately need money. At that moment, Captain Dojima and Lieutenant Mina order everyone to their positions as they prepare for arrival. The landing goes smoothly, and when they look out, they see that Mars no longer appears red. Thanks to the terraforming process, it now resembles Earth. Mina deploys a device containing a powerful chemical designed to exterminate the roaches. Dojima then divides the group to explore the area and ensure the eradication process is effective. When Asuka is paired with Yoshikane, she immediately objects, refusing to work with a Yakuza member. She requests to team up with Ichiro instead. Although Yoshikane feels insulted, Dojima agrees to the change to avoid any conflict. Once the crew departs, Dojima deploys a drone that discovers Bugs 1, a probe secretly sent by Japan 10 years ago. The captain contacts Honda to show him the probe and reports that everything is progressing smoothly. Honda becomes excited, realizing that if the mission succeeds, he will possess the technology to control the world. Meanwhile, the different teams are already exploring, and Jin finds it odd that they haven't encountered a single dead roach yet. He and Maria continue their search, but as they round some rocks, they are shocked to see 3 strange creatures wielding clubs. The duo quickly hides, bewildered by the presence of these unknown beings, as they were not informed about any potential Martians. Not far from there, Komachi and Nanao also encounter one of these creatures. Komachi attempts to communicate with it, but suddenly, the creature attacks Nanao, snapping her neck. After dropping her body, it swiftly runs away. At that moment, Jin arrives and informs them that the creatures also killed Asuka. The entire crew rushes back to the ship, and after placing Nanao's body in the medical bay, they confront Dojima, who had known the truth all along. Humanity sent cockroaches to Mars 500 years ago, and over time, they have evolved rapidly due to space radiation and other extreme conditions. The creatures the crew encountered are indeed these evolved roaches, now stronger than humans. The government had called them to terraform Mars. The crew is furious at being deceived, but at that moment, Honda appears as a hologram. He reminds them that they sold themselves for money and underwent surgery before coming. which wasn't just to help them breathe on Mars. It turns out the procedure infused their genes with bug DNA, granting them superpowers to complete the mission. After instructing everyone to fight the roaches, the hologram vanishes. Dojima then explains that to activate their powers, they must inject themselves with the bug cell activator. This will cause their bodies to mutate, but only for a few minutes, after which they will return to normal. However, overuse of the activator will result in death. Dojima uploads all the necessary information to the crew's suits, which connect directly to their minds. Tezuka finds this exciting, but the rest of the crew is unhappy. Mina demands to know why Dojima kept this a secret. He explains that he was under orders to maintain confidentiality. Some crew members express a desire to return to Earth, but at that moment, the computer alerts them that the roaches are approaching the ship. Lee volunteers to go out and fight the roaches, declaring that once they finish the mission, they can return and use their new powers to exact revenge on the government. As Lee heads out, the others learn that he fought in the Medias and earned the nickname Immortal God Lee, making cockroaches seem like a minor challenge for him. Once outside, Lee injects himself with the activator, which grants him the powers of a bombardier beetle. This bug can mix chemicals to create a small jet that functions like a flamethrower. Lee's body mutates into a hybrid of human and beetle, and he begins battling a cockroach, matching its speed and strength. Despite their intense exchange of blows, the roach refuses to go down. Lee then uses his new power to shoot powerful flames at the creature, severely burning it. Initially, it seems like he has won, but the cockroach quickly recovers and kills Lee. Simultaneously, another cockroach leaps onto the spaceship and begins ramming its head against the ultra-tempered glass, attempting to break it. Once it breaches the glass, it swiftly enters and kills 2 crew members. In response, Dojima injects himself with the activator, gaining the genes of the South American Periponera ant. This ant can lift 100 times its own weight and has a sting so painful it feels like a bullet. With his newfound strength, Dojima easily smashes the cockroach to the floor, killing it. Unfortunately, the computer detects an entire horde of cockroaches approaching the ship. Osako wonders why the roaches are intent on killing them, and Maria explains that it's because they intend to kill the roaches. She recalls the first time she saw a cockroach and killed it without hesitation. Most of the crew wants to return to Earth, but Mina discovers that the control panel is dead, and the backup system is also non-functional. Dojima quickly devises a plan. The team will head to Bugs 1 to retrieve the necessary parts to repair Bugs 2, while he stays behind to fight the cockroaches. By using the pheromones from the dead creatures, he will attract the other roaches, allowing the team to travel safely. Some crew members volunteer to stay and help the captain, but Ichiro insists they leave, declaring that he will be the one to stay behind. As the cockroaches begin climbing the ship, the team prepares to make their way out. Komachi stops to visit Nanao, promising to return for her. Before leaving, he notices some strange strings coming out of her mouth. The team boards the rover, knowing they will have to travel through a horde of cockroaches. Tezuka volunteers to fight and injects himself with the DNA of the Rove beetle, which allows him to shoot gas projectiles at enemies and escape quickly. When Mina opens the door, they are met with a swarm of cockroaches. Tezuka climbs onto the vehicle's roof and shoots gas at them, clearing a path for the rover to escape safely. Back on the ship, Ichiro injects himself and transforms just as the cockroaches break in. While Dojima fights, Ichiro runs to hide. As more and more roaches keep coming, Dojima continues to battle, recalling the day Honda recruited him. At that time, Dojima had nearly ruined his career by punching a superior, but Honda offered him a chance to be a captain again in exchange for bringing back an egg from Mars. Eventually, the number of cockroaches becomes overwhelming. Ichiro seals the entire ship, crushing a few roaches with a closing door. He then vacuums out the oxygen inside the ship, causing the cockroaches to suffocate. A few manage to keep fighting, and Dojima continues to battle them, but eventually the lack of air knocks both him and Ichiro out. Meanwhile, Jin asks Komachi about his relationship with Nanao, prompting Komachi to recall the day they were recruited. After losing her mother, Nanao became a victim of her stepfather's abuse, who forced her into illicit activities for money. One evening, Komachi found him hitting Nanao and intervened, easily disarming the man and landing a couple of solid hits. The stepfather didn't care because Nanao was still legally his. However, while he was distracted, Nanao grabbed the knife he had dropped and stabbed him. To protect his girlfriend, Komachi quickly took the knife from her and stabbed the man multiple times, making it look like he was the one who did it. Back in the present, Komachi asks Jin why he came to Mars. Jin explains that he has nothing left because his only friend died of an illness. At that moment, the team inside the rover sees something massive approaching them, resembling a huge tsunami. However, it's actually a massive wave of cockroaches. Mina pushes the rover through the wave as Tezuka continues to shoot gas, causing many roaches to smash against the windows. The rover safely makes it through, and the team celebrates. Unfortunately, they then see a second, even larger wave approaching. Realizing that Tezuka won't be able to handle this one alone, Maria and Osuko take their injections to transform. Osuko gains the powers of the hardshell weevil from Okinawa, which has a shell so hard that not even an elephant can crush it. Maria transforms into a rainbow stag beetle, with an incredible camouflage shell that deceives the enemy. Once mutated, both women join Tezuka on the roof and act as a shield for him. The rover manages to navigate through, but after crossing the wave, it flips and crashes, throwing everyone inside out and tossing the trio to the ground. Suddenly, the rover's autopilot activates on its own and drives away, leaving the trio behind. Roaches soon surround them, and within seconds, mercilessly kill all three. Moments later, the team wakes up to find themselves at the bug's location, unaware of a nearby drone watching them. Toramaru and Yoshikane stay outside to guard the entrance, while the others enter the ship to investigate. When Mina tries to run a diagnostic, they are shocked to discover the ship's computer is transmitting data to someone on Earth. At that moment, they hear gunshots and rush outside, only to find Yoshikane and Toramaru dead. Yoshikane, a diving beetle, and Toramaru, a mole cricket, never got to use their abilities to search underwater and underground. Suddenly, a group of roaches emerges from hiding, revealing they know how to use the weaponry they took from the bugs. Back with the group, Komachi decides they must fight and takes an injection to mutate into the Asian giant hornet from Japan, the bug with the highest annual accidental deaths. It attacks without warning and, unlike bees, can sting repeatedly. With his powers, Komachi easily punches holes through the roaches' bodies, killing them effortlessly. Soon, Jin decides to help and takes the injection to become a migratory locust, which has the most powerful legs in the bug world, capable of jumping up to 90 stories high. He kills roaches with perfectly landed kicks. Mina transforms into the giant Asian mantis, with sickle-shaped legs that slice through everything. Working together, they manage to kill all the roaches. As the fog clears, they are shocked to see a pyramid nearby. Meanwhile, a roach is watching the bugs too. From afar, it suddenly reveals it can speak and has a phone, which it uses to call Honda and inform him that everything is going according to plan. Honda advises it to stay away from Komachi if he transforms, as his bug is vicious. After hanging up, the cockroach enters the ship, reactivates the oxygen, and points a gun at Dojima, calling him Captain. When Dojima wonders what's happening, the creature's body splits in two, revealing a mutated Asuka inside. She is an emerald cockroach wasp, whose stinger allows her to control roaches' minds. When she was about to be killed, she manipulated the creatures to fight each other. It turns out that both Asuka and Ichiro have been secretly working for Honda all along. Asuka kills Dojima and then throws water at Ichiro, whose mutations come from the sleeping Chironomid from Central Africa. This bug never dies because, when in danger, it enters a state of stasis and only needs water to wake up. Once Ichiro is awake, he and Asuka check on the egg they must retrieve for Honda, which is a second-generation roach. While Ichiro works on reactivating the ship, Nanao's body continues to release lots of white string. Komachi and the others witness the activation of Bug 2 just before the drone, controlled by Honda, reveals itself. Honda thanks the trio for all the battle data he's gathered and reveals that Ichiro was the one who sabotaged the ship. After informing them of Dojima's death, Honda explains that the pod from Bug 1 did return to Earth and brought a roach head with it. He approached the government with the possibility of using the roaches as super soldiers and got permission to experiment with criminals, as regular astronauts had morals. The real mission has always been to recover the egg, not to kill the roaches. The pyramid they saw is explained by genetic memory, revealing that the roaches are aliens who once used humanity before moving to Mars, guided by those genes. At that moment, Ichiro prepares to leave, recalling why he accepted his mission. He had many siblings and a sick mother, but they lived in poverty. Ichiro had been working on important research that he hoped to sell with his professor's recommendation and become wealthy. Unfortunately, the professor set Ichiro up to make it look like he attacked a coworker, leading to his expulsion. On the other hand, Asuka joined the project for the power it offered. Suddenly, the egg starts to hatch early to 2 cockroaches. Asuka tries to use her power to control them, but it fails because this second generation is even more evolved. As Bugs 2 takes off, the creatures easily kill Asuka and call for help from the other roaches. Soon, all the cockroaches on the ground release their wings and fly to the ship, causing it to malfunction. As an engine explodes, the roaches inside attack Ichiro, who quickly injects himself to enter a stasis state. After much shaking, Bugs 2 crashes near Bugs 1, and the roaches attack the trio, who quickly transform to fight back. Initially, they do well, but then the evolved roaches from the egg join the battle, attacking much faster and stronger. Mina is soon killed with her own arm. Jin injects himself with a second dose, making him look more bug-like. Komachi does the same, and now the fight is more balanced, allowing both men to kill roaches more quickly. Jin decides to take a third dose and develops wings, enabling him to fight roaches in the sky and smash them against the ship. Despite their efforts, the roaches keep coming, and the team is growing weary. Ignoring Komachi's warnings, Jin takes more doses, sealing his fate of never becoming human again. In a desperate move, he attacks one of the evolved roaches, stabbing its stomach with a leg and then beheading it with a powerful kick. But Jin has reached his limit and collapses, exhausted. Komachi rushes to protect Jin's body, but another evolved roach grabs Komachi's stingers and breaks them, rendering his punches ineffective. Just when all hope seems lost, a magical glowing creature appears, flying towards them and spreading glowing dust over the area. This creature is Nano, transformed into a silkworm moth. She has the power to ignite the powdery moth scales, creating a dust explosion. Jin realizes this is a sacrificial act to save them and tries to stop Nano. Komachi, desperate, begs her not to do it, even developing wings and flying towards her in a final plea. At that moment, a cockroach fires at him, triggering the dust and causing a massive explosion. As the roaches begin to die, Jin flies up and saves Komachi just in time, but Nano perishes once more. The explosion shakes Bugs 1, causing a glass of water to fall on Ichiro's face, waking him up. A roach behind him is about to attack, but Ichiro remembers his promise to his mother and fiercely kills the creature to survive. Eventually, Jin can no longer fly, and both men fall to the ground. When Komachi wakes up, he sees that Jin has completely transformed into an insect, but he can still speak. Jin urges Komachi to return to Earth without him and survive to honor Nanao's sacrifice. At that moment, Komachi notices a few surviving roaches, including a weakened evolved one. Instead of killing it, Komachi decides to let it go after punching it. Komachi then enters the ship and discovers that Ichiro is still alive. He calls Ichiro a traitor and tries to attack him, but Ichiro pulls out a gun and kills a roach that was about to attack Komachi. Reaching a truce, the duo finds the escape pod and flies back to Earth. The cockroaches want to pursue them, but the evolved one stops them. Meanwhile on Earth, Honda realizes that Ichiro has hacked into his system to broadcast the truth to the entire world. Unfazed, Honda plans to go into hiding for a while and then find another government to sell his idea to. Suddenly, his assistant reveals that she has been working for the Japanese government all along and attempts to shoot him. However, Honda's protective barrier stops the bullet, and he retaliates by deploying a mechanical spider that kills her. Aboard the spaceship, Ichiro vows to expose everyone involved in the mission, while Komachi declares that he will make graves for their crew and then return to Mars. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.